For years ago Len Sabino woke up on a mattress in a cold, chilly room. Water leaked from the wooden ceiling as rain hit the window and thunder echoed in the distance, signaling the approaching storm. Despite the noise, Ryan slept soundly beside her, snoring nearly as loudly as the lightning. Len whispered to Ryan, asking if he was asleep, but he did not respond. She found him kind of cute when he slept, though he denied snoring. She recalled the day she and her father had found him hiding in a basement amid the rubble of a village destroyed by marauders. His entire community had perished, and their livestock was taken. If she hadn't scavenged his house for supplies, she might never have met him. They had stuck together for years, surviving the wars, her father's rampages, marauders, and genomes. They had always been together, even sharing the same bed like siblings in all but name. Len wished they could become more, though she was too shy to say it aloud. She had never had a boyfriend and didn't understand how these things worked. She hoped Ryan would make the first move. Glancing around the room, Len noted it used to be a hunting lodge near the Alps, a silent wooden house on a steep hillside the locals must have abandoned years ago, either chased away by marauders or moving toward the rebuilding cities for protection. Everyone spoke about New Rome whenever she managed to talk to someone outside her family without her father interfering. When Ryan didn't wake, Len left the bed in her pajamas and searched the room. Ryan had left his pants on a chair, and she looked into his pockets. The blue elixir inside seemed to shine as lightning struck right outside the bedroom. They had left Venice weeks ago, and so far their father hadn't noticed the potions. He had left the kids alone 3 days ago to salvage nearby, and Len hoped he wouldn't kill anyone this time. Len knew her father would come back. Ryan wished he wouldn't. He feared and hated their father. Len understood their father was difficult. He had started drinking more after their mother left them for her other family, but he always tried to raise Len and Ryan. When Cesare died during the bombing, something inside their father broke and never returned. The elixirs had been the last straw, causing him to take out his pain on others. Yet despite everything, he was still there. Father Len observed the potion with a mix of fear and hope. She knew how their father might react if she drank it, but blue elixirs made people smarter. Geniuses. Mecron had drunk one and invented killer robots and orbital lasers. If it gave her smart power, maybe she could create a cure for their father, make him normal again, and turn their group into a real family instead of whatever they were now. Len hesitated, glanced briefly at Ryan, then moved into another room of the lodge, the garage at the back. The garage was chaotic, a storage area filled with books, car parts, tools, lamps, an old fridge, and a washing machine long out of use. It had a workshop, perhaps used to skin hunted animals since the electricity didn't work. Len lit candle for light and warmth. She sat behind the workbench and examined the elixir. The container bore no information except its helix symbol. A direct injection scared her, so she decided to ingest the substance directly, as she had seen their father do. Breathing deeply, Len removed the syringe and drank the potion whole. The substance tasted unlike anything she had ever experienced, mixing the texture of salt water with alien flavors, neither sweet, salty, acid, nor bitter. The liquid contained no natural components, strangely fused with her flesh. As she drank, the elixir vanished before reaching her stomach, entering her bloodstream through her tongue and mouth, bypassing digestion within seconds. Len had swallowed it entirely. For a few seconds nothing happened. She placed the empty syringe on the workbench, wondering if the elixir had lost its potency with age. Then her mind ignited. A manic surge of divine inspiration overwhelmed Len as raw, pure information flooded her brain like a torrent, breaking through a dam, expanding her neurons and altering her understanding of the universe. She couldn't move. Her consciousness froze, struggling to process the massive influx of new content. Her body went numb as a surge of blue energy coursed through her nerves, bones, and organs. The brief but intense alteration transformed her entire being on a fundamental level. Entering a fugue state, Len felt an overwhelming urge to create. Her power demanded expression, like a newborn wishing to enter the world. As the blue light left her body, her hands grabbed the remains of the fridge, tools, washing machine, and everything within reach. She did not know how long long she remained in that manic state, minutes or hours, but nothing else mattered. Not their father, not Ryan, not the world she only needed to create. When the surge subsided and Len regained control, she had transformed the fridge and assorted items into a bulky bathysphere painted red, incorporating a hammer and broken sickle into the design. Her personality bleeding through even in the fugue. She understood her power's nature, almost intuitively. Water. Her power involved understanding water, marine life, adapting land animals to survive underwater, altering oceans globally, creating technology resistant to deep sea pressure and devices capable of causing tsunamis. She knew what creatures lived in the darkest abysses and how to communicate with them. Her power provided all the information she needed, allowing her creativity to fill in the blanks. For Len, who had always loved the sea and Jules Verne's stories, it was almost a dream come true. She wondered if the elixir granted powers based on the dringer's personality, providing an ability they desired based on the color selected. But despite its wonders, her power wouldn't help their father. She couldn't imagine any way to cure him. Even with her expanded intellect, she didn't understand his unique biology, let alone how to deal with his insanity. She could make submarines, tsunami machines, and water control devices, but nothing to help understand elixirs or the madness they caused. Then Ryan entered the garage in his pajamas, glancing at the mini-sub and the empty bottle. His mouth said nothing, but his eyes widened. Len admitted she had to do it. Ryan showed no condemnation, only worry, and asked if it had been worth it. Len shook her head in defeat and crumpled on the bench, exhausted from the creative surge, as if she had run for hours. Ryan placed his hand on her shoulder and offered a warm smile, joking that the bathysphere was still beautiful and that now she could send fish to Siberia if they misbehaved. The lame joke made Len laugh, and she called him horrible, threatening to send him to a gulag. Ryan replied that they both knew it would only be a temporary solution. Len smirked and suggested they could travel, claiming she could build a nautilus from scrap parts. Suddenly, the lodge's door opened from outside. The lock removed. Bloodstream's voice echoed through the lodge amid lightning, calling for Len and Cesare and urging them to leave immediately. Ryan's hand tensed on Len's shoulder as panic overtook his voice, instructing her to hide. Len replied sadly that there was nowhere to go. Bloodstream entered the garage, leaving bloody footprints behind. Ryan moved in front of Len protectively as Bloodstream's form shifted like a raging ocean. Bloodstream's demeanor changed abruptly from warm to tense as he questioned Len about what he sensed in her blood. Ryan shielded Len, but Bloodstream accused her of lying to him, his fingers turning into claws. Len froze, feeling small and cold. Bloodstream snarled that the power was meant for him, that he had taken it to protect her from the sick world after their mother abandoned them. Len lowered her eyes and apologized, accepting responsibility for his transformation into a monster. Bloodstream's voice grew more menacing as he declared that Len had to be punished. Ryan tried to intervene, but Bloodstream slapped him aside and advanced toward Len with raised hands to strangle her. Len closed her eyes, expecting the worst, but Bloodstream trembled violently, holding his head and struggling to control himself. He muttered that he could not harm Len and walked away from the garage, retreating inside the lodge while banging his head against a nearby wall. Ryan recovered from the slap, and Len helped him to his feet, asking if he was okay despite the blood from his nose. Ryan confirmed he was shaken but fine. Len complimented Ryan on his bravery, causing him to kiss her suddenly and passionately, an expression of primal desire for comfort and human contact. They broke apart quickly upon hearing Bloodstream returning, putting space between each other out of fear or embarrassment. Bloodstream appeared calmer and acknowledged Len's intelligence and ability to build things, though she nervously corrected him. He declared they would leave because people were after him and his clones, instructing Len to build a submarine. When Ryan asked where they would go, Bloodstream suggested America, the land of opportunity, and Hollywood, where they could be stars. Len thought it was insane, as they barely knew conditions in France, let alone across the Atlantic, but she said she would consider it. Bloodstream assured them everything would be fine and promised they would always be together, placing a hand on their heads almost paternally. In the present day, Len worked alone in the deepest abyss of the Mediterranean Sea, repairing the base's outer shell with a plasma torch adapted for underwater use, and clad in her diving armor suit she ensured the modular habitat was perfectly safe from leaks that could cause disaster. Antidepressants dulled her mind, but her power allowed her to focus and brought her euphoria and purpose. Curious about the surface, Len briefly activated her radio and overheard a conversation between Ryan and an unfamiliar voice discussing the subjectivity of existence and the uncertainty of objective truth. Ryan's voice startled her, and she listened until, muting the radio, she had watched Ryan from afar. After he reached New Rome, sensing he might know she was nearby, which made her retreat beneath the waves. Ryan had been searching for her for years, and she remained uncertain about what to tell him. On the Augusti path, Ryan met Zanbato as expected, fought Saren at the harbor, and repeated the conversation, leading him to crash Jamie's house. The scene unfolded with crashing waves against the piers. Luigi asked Ryan if he was a snitch or double agent. Ryan replied that he was not really on anyone's side, but admitted to being a carnival infiltrator. Everyone present turned to look at him, tension rising as grunts raised their weapons, and Zanbato's expression shifted from shock to fury. Ryan realized two lessons: he hated truth-tellers, and Zanbato could easily kill with his laser sword. This time, however, the courier had prepared misleading answers. Luigi asked again if Ryan was a snitch or double agent. Ryan responded that he could not snitch on a group he had not officially joined, and was not a double agent, though technically he was a triple agent. Luigi asked Ryan if he was a mole. Ryan denied it, saying he was human. Luigi then rephrased, asking if Ryan intended to relay information about them to another organization. Ryan admitted he already had. Luigi sighed, acknowledging his poor wording, but pressed on as they moved toward the Plymouth Fury. Luigi told Ryan he had to ask every new recruit some questions. Ryan pleaded with him not to, but Luigi insisted, asking if Ryan was a snitch. Ryan sarcastically confirmed it. Everyone raised their weapons at Ryan's face, and he warned Luigi that they were going to have a problem later. Zanbato asked Grunt 1 where Luigi was, noting Luigi's absence at the harbor and questioning who would handle the shipment. Grunt 1 explained that Luigi had been attacked the previous night and was currently in the hospital out of commission. Jamie, surprised by the news, asked who had attacked Luigi. Grunt 1 described a man wearing a hockey mask who had broken Luigi's jaw with a hockey stick. Ryan commented on the danger of hockey absent-mindedly. Grunt 1 recounted that Luigi had returned home late from a party when the attacker suddenly appeared, assaulted him, and left without stealing anything. Jamie wondered if it was a robbery, but Grunt 1 suggested it might have been a hate crime. Grunt 2 speculated it could have been a jealous boyfriend given Luigi's reputation. Zanbato considered the possibility of the meta, but questioned how the attacker had learned Luigi's address. Ryan noted it had taken him longer to find hockey equipment than Luigi's address, as few played the sport anymore. Jamie asked Ryan if he was staying at a hotel and suggested he stay at her place for the night because the city was unsafe. Ryan agreed. Following that, Jamie invited Ryan home. They played poker, visited Vulcan's factory, and Ryan saved the pandas from extinction. Ryan's mind operated on autopilot, guided by his sense of timing. He viewed humans as predictable, always reacting the same way to the same stimuli, making repetition necessary to reach the perfect ending. He was certain everything would turn out right once he found Len. A beep from Ryan's cell phone snapped him back to reality. Lanka had already left for Vulcan's factory, lying defeated on the ground. A message showed a photo of Rust Town's orphanage intact, with a text stating that Psyshock had been taken care of and the children were safe. Ryan appreciated such surprises. Ryan noticed Pluto and her bodyguard talking with Zanbato. He expected events to repeat until he met Vulcan. Pluto froze upon seeing him and asked if they had met before. Ryan responded that he was unforgettable. Pluto confirmed they had met but didn't remember him. Her bodyguard asked what was wrong, and Pluto said Ryan was marked but she didn't remember him. Jamie joined the conversation, backing Ryan up with Ki Young. Zanbato identified Ryan as Quicksave, a violet time stopper. Pluto questioned why he wasn't a blue and stared intensely at Ryan, creating a growing pressure around him. Pluto's bodyguard noted that cancel would have noticed any memory alteration or info hazard suggesting their powers might interfere. Pluto remained unconvinced, eyes fixed on Ryan. Ryan whistled and looked away innocently while Zanbato defended him, stating Ryan was odd but reliable and had helped fight off Saren. Pluto dismissed Zanbato's words and asked Ryan for his real name. Ryan replied mockingly that he was Ryan Romano Immortal, but to keep it secret. Pluto coldly replied that no one lives forever and warned she would call Ryan back soon to clear things up. She stated that playing stupid, smart, running, or saying no would result in his death. Her words were not a threat but a statement of fact. The group watched Pluto and her bodyguard leave in silence until they were out of sight. Ryan broke the silence by asking who was up for Chinese food. Lanka expressed relief and asked what Ryan had done. Ryan responded with confusion and offered Italian as an alternative. Jamie warned that Pluto was Augustus' sister and underboss, and her interest was not a good sign. Ki-young advised following Pluto's lead without question, noting she could kill with a thought. Lanka asked why Pluto was even there, directing the question to her team leader. Jamie explained that the boss had authorized a major strike against the Meta Gang, with Vulcan taking command of the clean-up operation. Eager to test her new weapons in the field, Pluto had lent her the Killer 7 hit squad. Jamie declared it was finally time to clean up the trash. Ki-young added that the attack was especially justified after what the Meta Gang had done to Luigi, attacking him in front of his own home, emphasizing the loss of safety in one's own house. Lanka questioned whether the Meta Gang was truly responsible, noting that the attacker had only been a man with a hockey cross, and that if it were the Meta Gang there should have been more casualties. Jamie suggested it was likely an unpowered junkie hired by the Meta Gang to do their dirty work, as the gang itself was small. Ryan listened, piecing together that Shroud had ceased targeting the Augusti with assassinations, allowing the criminal syndicate to focus entirely on eliminating the Meta Gang. He worried about how Pluto's newfound interest in him might jeopardize his infiltration mission, especially since she seemed able to identify him despite his timeline alterations. They entered Vulcan's factory next, where Zanbato lectured Ryan on how to speak to the capo again. Ryan barely paid attention, having ignored the advice before, but the tense meeting with Pluto made him reconsider his approach, with one high-ranking Augusti suspecting him, and the crucial meeting with Len pending. Ryan decided not to alienate another ally. He resolved to behave inside Vulcan's workshop. Ryan's eyes were immediately drawn to the enormous armor, recalling how the genius had tried to kill him with it before. Rather than teasing Vulcan about her height, he focused on the armor. While Zanbato exchanged introductions with the capo, Vulcan quickly noticed Ryan's interest and asked if he was impressed. Ryan responded that the design was interesting, especially the miniature fusion reactor, but suggested coating the joints with a protective anti-shock layer to prevent breakage from selective pressure. Vulcan admitted she had considered that but hadn't found an alloy composite resistant enough to intense movement friction without causing arm jamming. She had prioritized speed over defense given the armor's intended target. Ryan proposed using a plastic derivative, prompting Vulcan to sit on her workbench with a flash of interest and ask if he was a genius. He replied that he wasn't, but had experience with genius technology, and tossed her a bomb, claiming knowledge of pretty much everything. Vulcan admired the bomb's design and asked if she could keep it. Ryan offered it as a bribe, and Vulcan accepted, looking like a child receiving a surprise gift. Lanka deadpanned that it looked like love at first sight, prompting Vulcan to warn her to be careful with her tongue, then told Ryan she wanted him in her division starting tomorrow. Jamie tried to defend himself, explaining that he had thought Ryan might do well with Mercury and that Pluto wanted to check on him because she didn't like him. Vulcan dismissed Pluto as paranoid but confident she could handle her, noting that Pluto hadn't wanted her on the team when she joined yet. Here she was, she assured Ryan she would cover for years. She added that she had scouted Ryan first and considered him too valuable for minion work in Mercury's division. Ryan declined long-term employment, stating he was looking for Len, the underdiver with black hair, blue eyes, and Marxist-Leninist beliefs. Vulcan acknowledged knowing Len had an undersea base and that they were in contact though she described their relationship as genius pen pals who occasionally traded technology. She offered to arrange a meeting, but not for free. Ryan suspected she wanted an invitation to dinner as payment, but instead she ordered them to sabotage Wyvern's movie for petty revenge. Ryan scanned the area for hidden cameras or bombs, wary that things might not go so smoothly. Vulcan instructed Ryan to return tomorrow once the work was done and his trouble with Pluto resolved, promising a reward and to change his mind about long-term employment. She addressed him by his first name now. Lanka expressed surprise at how well things had gone, admitting she thought Ryan would mess it up, but Vulcan seemed to like him. Jamie asked Ryan if he